Chapter 7. Meeting Peter van Noordwijk again. Peter van Noordwijk ran his business from the top 3 floors of a tall building on the corner of the Keizersgracht and Leidsestraat. Mary and Andy arrived there soon after 4 o'clock. They went through some tall double doors on the ground floor and found themselves in a large open area. There were 2 lifts to take people to the other floors, and, on the wall, the names of all the businesses in the building. Andy looked at the names. "There," he said. "Van Noordwijk International, floors 10 to 12. Which floor is Mum going to be on?" "No idea," replied Mary. "Let's try the top one." "Okay." Andy called the lift, and they stood between the doors, waiting for one of them to open. They heard the noise of a lift coming down, then the doors on the left opened. Out of the lift came Jake and Oz. Andy's mouth fell open. Mary put out a hand to pull Andy away so they could run and escape from the men, but she wasn't quick enough. Oz took Andy's arm and pushed it up behind his back. Jake took Mary's arm in his large hand. Mary pushed and pulled at Jake's hand, but she could not get away. "How did you get out of that room? What are you doing here?" asked Jake. "Let me go," said Mary, trying to fight with him. "Let's take them upstairs quick," said Oz to Jake, "before someone sees us." "Right," said Jake. The lift doors were still open, so the men pushed Mary and Andy into the lift. "We were just coming to get you," said Oz. "But now the boss will meet you sooner than he thinks." "Good," said Mary, "because we haven't taken anything, and we haven't done anything wrong, so you won't need to keep us." "If they think we know nothing," Mary thought to herself, "we can probably get out of this. But if they think we know about the painting, we've got a big problem." She looked at Andy and hoped that he understood this. But Andy was just looking at the lift doors, hands in his pockets, his eyes half closed in thought. As the lift stopped at the 12th floor, Mary thought of something. "Who is your boss?" she asked. "Wait and see," said Jake. Mary looked across at Andy. She could see that he had also put 2 and 2 together. Jake and Oz pushed Andy and Mary out of the lift and to the right, stopping in front of a large door. Jake opened the door and pushed the teenagers into the room. "Sorry to come in like this, sir," said Jake, "but we found these 2 downstairs. They were on the ground floor waiting for the lift." Mary and Andy looked round the room. It was a large office. There were windows on 2 sides, looking out over the rooftops of Amsterdam and down on the tall, thin houses across the canal. There was a large desk in the middle of the room with papers on it. And behind the desk sat Peter van Noordwijk. "Ah!" said the man behind the desk, putting down a pen and sitting back. "Andy and Mary. I thought it was probably you 2 when Jake described the 2 teenagers to me." He looked at Andy. "There can't be many tall, red-haired English boys running round Amsterdam." Mary looked round at the door, but Jake and Oz were standing in front of it. She looked back at the man behind the desk. She had to make him think they knew nothing. "Well, you can just let us go," she said. Because we haven't done anything wrong. Van Noordwijk laughed. Just then, Andy took his hands out of his pockets and spoke to Van Noordwijk. Mr. Van Noordwijk, he said, or Peter, as you asked us to call you last night. Van Noordwijk turned to Andy with a questioning look. I just don't understand it, said Andy. I mean, you're a rich man. You've got a new house, nice offices here on the Keizersgracht. Why do you want to— Andy, said Mary quickly. He mustn't tell Van Noordwijk about the painting. Shh, Mary, said Andy. But he was still looking at Van Noordwijk. Leave this to me. What are you talking about? Asked Van Noordwijk, an unfriendly smile on his face. We've already been to the police, said Andy. They know everything. About the painting from the Rijksmuseum, the house on the Lijnbaansgracht, you, everything. Van Noordwijk smiled again, but his eyes were cold. I think not, he said. I had a conversation with your mother when she arrived after lunch today. The police went to the house on the Lijnbaansgracht and found nothing. If they go back there, they will still find nothing. Because the painting is here now. They know nothing about me, because you didn't find out who I was until you were stupid enough to come here. He sat back in his chair. At the moment, he said, none of the information you have given them has been of any help at all. But sometime, next week, next month maybe, they could decide to believe you, and that could be a problem for me. He looked round the room at everyone, thinking. Then he stood up. Right. You wanted to go out in my boat at the weekend. Well, I think we can do better than that. We'll go out in it today. He turned to Oz. Oz, bring the car to the front of the building. He looked at Jake. Get Mrs. Lawson, he said. She's in the library. Tell her that her children are here and want to talk to her. Then we'll go out to sea for a short time. Jake and Oz laughed, and Mary's back went cold. Van Noordwijk was worried about what they knew. He couldn't allow them to talk to the police. But what did he mean? Why was he taking them out to sea? Did that really mean what she thought? But he couldn't. He couldn't do that, could he?